In our loneliest days and during some of the most difficult times in our lives, we can count on our pets to cheer us up and put a smile on our faces. A lot of them will do everything they can to make us feel a bit better and carry on with our lives. But some pets are simply extraordinary. They are eager to go that extra mile, and they don't mind putting their lives at risk if doing so will save our lives. Bob, who is a man from Michigan, decided to go out for a walk into the snow. And there's nothing extraordinary about that since he was in Michigan after all. However, he didn't expect that on that day he would slip in the snow and break his neck. He couldn't do much except for lay there and yell, begging for help from anybody. He could only hope that some of his closest neighbors would hear him, but unfortunately all of them were far away. By morning he had already lost his voice and help had not come. Lucky for him though, he wasn't alone. All this time he had Kelsey by his side, a faithful golden retriever that was barking as loud as possible to get people's attention. Kelsey, being the good girl that she was, didn't get tired. When Bob lost his voice, Kelsey was able to keep barking, and eventually a neighbor heard her and came to help Bob. Sometimes pets save the day in the most unusual of ways. This time we have an unnamed tabby cat who helped the police catch a thief. And how did it happen? Well, just listen to this. There was a suspected car thief hanging out from his third-floor window, threatening to jump off. Some hostage negotiators came to the scene, but after 3 hours, the guy wasn't giving in. However, someone came up with a rather strange idea. They knew that he had a tabby cat, so they appealed to the man's love for his pet to surrender. And you know, funny enough, the idea worked. The guy re-entered the building and he was allowed to kiss his cat goodbye before being taken to jail. It looks like nothing else on earth mattered to this guy as long as he could have his cat by his side. After the incident, Officer Albie Esparza, who was one of the negotiators, said, "I don't remember ever using a cat before, but it did work." A lot of the times, carbon monoxide can become a silent threat that slowly surrounds us and puts our lives in danger without us even noticing. This is why a lot of people install carbon monoxide detectors in their homes, so they can be alerted of any possible leaks from any of their appliances. But sometimes these leaks can happen in the middle of the night, when no one is listening. That's what happened in a Wisconsin home, the place where Gracie the cat lived. Her owners were asleep, but she pounded on her owner's bedroom door to let them know that something bad was happening. They woke up just in time, and today they're still thankful for Gracie. They know they wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for her. Megan Howard was having a regular day at her house. In her eyes, life was amazing. She was in good company as she was the proud owner of a little green parrot named Willie, and she got to be the nanny of a 3-year-old girl named Hannah. She decided to bake a pie, and she put it on a table and went in for a quick bathroom break, when all of a sudden Willie started yelling, "Mom, baby, Mom, baby." Megan ran to the kitchen and saw that someone had taken a bite out of the pie, and little Hannah was on the floor turning blue. In just a matter of seconds, Megan performed the Heimlich maneuver and saved Hannah's life. Things could have been drastically different if it wasn't for Willie. It's a good thing parrots can talk. It's crazy to see how far service dogs will go to keep their companions safe. On one occasion, a dog named Figo was crossing the street with his blind owner, Audrey Stone, when suddenly a bus came their way. Sadly, the bus driver didn't see Figo and Audrey, but Figo was ready to be a hero and stepped in front of the bus. Figo took the brunt of the hit so Audrey could stay unharmed. The EMTs arrived, and even though Figo was injured, he still wanted to make sure that Audrey was fine. He stood by her side, making sure she was safe, and came out of it better as well. Glenn Shulman is one of the few people around the world who suffers from the combination of 3 separate brain diseases. In fact, he's believed to be the oldest person alive with such problems. As a result, he experiences frequent seizures, but the good thing is that he doesn't have to go through it alone. He's in the good company of his cat named Blake. When Glenn has seizures at night, Blake comes along and bites his toes to wake him up. If it wasn't for Blake, Glenn could die from his seizures, but he has nothing to worry about as his faithful cat is always there to watch him and help. Next on this list we have Fidge, a kitten that helped her owner know that she had breast cancer. Fidge began jumping on her owner Wendy's right breast, which finally made Wendy go see a doctor. To her surprise, they found a tumor the size of a pea. Doctors later told Wendy that if she hadn't been diagnosed that early, she could have died. She's the first one in her family to have this type of cancer, and she really is glad that Fidge was next to her to let her know that something was wrong. We should never underestimate a dog's continuous barking. Usually when they do that, it's because they need us to do something for them or for someone that they love. This is exactly what happened in Costa Rica when a small dog named Chiquita kept barking at people, trying to grab their attention. Finally, one of the drivers along the road paid attention to her and followed her. Chiquita then led him to an unconscious man who had passed out half an hour earlier. It was Chiquita's owner George, and since he was on the floor with a simple and probably dirty outfit, people thought he was drunk, so they didn't pay much attention to him. However, the driver that came with Chiquita looked closely and realized that George was not drunk. George needed medical attention immediately. They rushed him to the hospital and Chiquita stayed by his side, making sure he was alright. Animals are also able to stand up for people that they don't know. Police canines are an example of that. They're trained to care for humans even if they're just strangers, and after the terrible attacks of 9/11, many people showed up to offer their help in this time of need. Among these hero dogs, there was Apollo, a German shepherd who became the first police canine to respond in the midst of the chaos. The dog went into ground zero, moving amongst rubble, red-hot metal, and lots of debris just to search for survivors. The dog kept looking until his supervisor dragged him away, knowing that there was no hope to find anyone alive. This goes to show that dogs will not stop, even when the circumstances are helpless. If you like the water and you live in Australia, then you gotta be ready to see sharks at some point. One day, when a boat captain named Franz van der Poel went fishing and diving, he encountered two sharks circling around him, but Franz was not alone. His dog Sky was watching everything from the boat, and when the dog realized that her owner was in danger, she jumped into the water to save him. Sadly, this did cost Sky her life. Franz was devastated as he realized that the dog he had rescued ended up being the one who rescued him and saved his life. When you're 64 years old, you can expect to have a lot of experience in life, and that was the case of Ian Thomas, the man who had gone through a lot. But what he hadn't experienced was being struck by lightning. It wasn't until he reached this age that he went through this awful life-changing moment. But lucky for him, his German Schnauzer Monty was by his side. Both Monty and Ian were struck, and Monty was just a puppy. However, the small dog was able to stand up. He licked his owner's face to keep him awake. Once Ian gained his strength back, he wrapped his hands around the dog and Monty led him home. Mrs. Thomas finally saw them and immediately rushed them to the hospital. Max was a Staffordshire Bull Terrier crossed with a bulldog living in Australia, and he loved going out with his owner on random adventures. One time they found a young boy who was about to drown in a river. Max's owner saw the boy, but before he could do anything, Max was already in the water. The owner told the boy to call the dog's name, and when he did, Max swam to the boy and dragged him to a safe spot. Disasters are unpredictable, and we're not always ready to respond. During a hiking trip, two people were trapped by a sudden avalanche and were left buried under the snow. However, their dogs were with them and they managed to escape. The dogs started barking as loud as they could and attracted enough attention to get help for their owners. Obviously, there is no natural disaster or threatening predator that can stop a pet from helping its owner. Now it's time for the day's best pick. The picture I chose for the day shows us a fearless dog facing a threatening polar bear. Would a dog go as far as facing one of these scary predators just to keep their owner safe? Well, we're about to find out. A few years ago, a man and his dog Pacer were walking down the forest in Canada when they suddenly came face to face with a black bear. The man tried to remain calm and scare the bear away, but none of his efforts worked. Instead, the bear started to attack him. But Pacer the dog was there, and he wasn't going to let a bear attack his owner. In just a matter of seconds, Pacer started biting and distracting the bear, which made the bear run after the dog and left the man alone. The man was able to call 911, and Pacer ran for a few kilometers before finally making it to a friend's house, where he got help and was left unharmed. And the bear never showed its face again, and hopefully never will. Which of these stories was your favorite? Have you ever seen a pet help someone in need? Well, let us know in the comment section down below. And with all that said and done, that is our video for today, folks, and I will see you all next time. Later, everybody.